Welcome to our latest news update. Today we'll be discussing some of the most recent and important news stories from around the world. First up,
Russian tycoon is suing the UK government to get back his Superyacht Fi. This legal battle has been ongoing for some time now and has garnered a lot of attention. Moving on.
Ukrainian President Zelensky held a staff meeting where the ground forces commander reported a halt of Russian advance on multiple fronts. This is a significant development in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia. In other news,
A Russian woman who left a note on the grave of Putin's parents calling him a freak has been convicted amid a dissent crackdown. This highlights the ongoing suppression of free speech in Russia. Additionally,
warehouses in Moscow Oblast are on fire, with the fire area covering 2,500 square meters. This is a developing story and we will keep you updated as more information becomes available. Finally,
Japan has pledged to mobilize $1 billion to help nations around Ukraine accept refugees. This is a positive step towards addressing the humanitarian crisis in the region. And lastly,
satellite images show Russia ghost ships smuggling grain from Ukraine according to a recent report. This is a concerning development and raises questions about the legality of such actions. That's all for now, let's get started. Russian property developer Sergei Naumenko is suing the UK's Transport Department to free his 192-foot Superyacht Fi and seeking undisclosed damages.
the vessel, worth £38 million, $48 million, was detained by UK authorities in 2022 and has been moored in London's Canary Wharf since the end of that year. Naumenko, who is not on any sanctions list, is listed as the beneficial owner of the yacht, which features an infinite wine cellar and a patented freshwater swimming pool.
The Fi was detained by Grant Shapps, then the transport minister, amid a media frenzy. Shapps even posted a TikTok video announcing the detention.
The ownership of the Fi is in question, with a March 30th report by the Financial Times listing the owner as Vitaly Vasilyevich Kochetkov, the founder of a small mobile phone network in Russia.
A substantive hearing to decide the yacht's fate is scheduled for July, and the UK Department for Transport declined to comment on ongoing legal proceedings.
From superyachts to superpowers, it seems like Russia is always making waves. Speaking of waves, it looks like the Russian advance has hit a bit of a snag. Maybe they should invest in a superyacht instead.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held a meeting of the staff of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief.
Brigadier General Alexander Tarnovsky reported on the combat situation in the Tavria Operational and Strategic Group of Troops. General Alexander Syrsky's units have stopped and pushed back invaders on some fronts. The situations in the areas of responsibility of other groups, Odessa and Pivnich, North, are under control.
The meeting determined the priority needs of all groups and discussed the pace of equipping new brigades with hardware and ammunition. Reports were also made by Commander-in-Chief Valery Zaluzhny, Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov, and Minister of Strategic Industry Alexander Kamyshin. And the President emphasized the importance of checking long-term contracts for the supply of ammunition and missiles.
Well, it looks like Putin's parents aren't the only ones disappointed in him. In other news, a Russian woman has been convicted for leaving a note on their grave calling him a freak.
A Russian court has given a 2-year suspended sentence to a woman who left a note on the grave of President Vladimir Putin's parents that said they had raised a freak and a killer.
Irina Sebaneva placed the note on the guarded grave on the eve of Mr. Putin's birthday in October.
The court found Sebaneva guilty of desecrating burial places, motivated by political hatred. Prosecutors had sought a 3-year suspended sentence. Critics say the Kremlin's sweeping campaign of repression has effectively criminalized criticism of the war. In addition to fines and jail sentences, those accused have been fired, blacklisted, branded as foreign agents, or fled Russia. Well, it seems like the Russian woman who insulted Putin's parents wasn't the only one causing a firestorm in Moscow Oblast. Speaking of fire, warehouses are currently ablaze, and the area covered is larger than Putin's ego.
A tire warehouse in Dzerzhinsky, Moscow Oblast, is on fire, with flames spreading across an area of 2,500 square meters.
The fire is reportedly located on Sadovaya Street, near a shopping center. Russian media outlets, including Vechernaya Moskva, Moscow 24, Radio 1, and RIA Novosti, have reported on the incident.
RIA Novosti notes that the fire has engulfed 2,500 square meters, while Moscow 24 reports that a building belonging to a recycling plant is on fire.
Emergency services are currently working at the scene.
The cause of the fire is currently unknown. Well, from the heat of the fire in Moscow Oblast to the warmth of Japan's generosity, let's hope this news segment doesn't leave us feeling too burnt out.
Japan plans to mobilize $1 billion to help countries surrounding Ukraine accept refugees from the war-torn country.
The funding will be provided via the state-owned Japan Bank for International Cooperation, JBIC.
The JBIC typically offers assistance in the form of lending, guarantees, and equity investment. The fund will also be used to facilitate investment by Japanese firms in those countries. The G7 will confirm financial support pledged so far and the results of IMF support programs, while boosting coordination among developing financial institutions and backing surrounding countries. The G7 will also debate how to prevent Russia from circumventing sanctions imposed after its invasion of Ukraine. Well, it looks like Japan's $1 billion pledge to help Ukraine's refugees might come in handy because it seems Russia is busy smuggling Ukraine's grain out on ghost ships. Who are you gonna call? Refugee busters. Satellite images have captured Russian ghost ships docking in a Black Sea port, report says.
The ships are believed to be transporting stolen Ukrainian grain. The ships apparently turned off their tracking devices so they couldn't be detected.
Investigative outlet Bellingcat obtained 140 images showing the ships at the Avlita terminal in the port of Sevastopol in the Russian-occupied Crimean Peninsula in southern Ukraine. The investigation apparently backs up reports by the BBC, the Associated Press, and other news organizations showing that Russia is using the Avlita terminal to transport stolen Ukrainian grain. The Ukrainian government in April accused Russia of stealing several 100,000 tons of grain in the wake of last year's invasion, and Russia denied the accusation.